Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're doing exactly what the name says, really, getting into the core of some interesting material. This time, we're looking closely at a YouTube transcript. It's from the English Podcast Zone, episode 1, actually.
Right.
And it captures this really common social moment, a bit awkward sometimes, between two people, Nick and Anna.
That's it. And we've got this dialogue transcribed. And, well, our mission, our goal here is to pull out the most valuable stuff for you.
Yeah.
Practical English, basically, for handling those slightly tricky social intros and, those moments when a name just completely disappears from your head.
Oh, definitely.
We're looking for language takeaways you can actually use and maybe understand a bit more about the social cues involved.
Okay, so let's jump right into the heart of it. This situation in the transcript, it's a little cringeworthy, maybe, but so human.
Yeah.
So Nick and Anna, they reconnect after a conference. They apparently had a good chat there. But then, bam, Nick totally blanks on Anna's name.
It's such a relatable scenario, I think. Doesn't really matter what language you speak. We've all been there, right?
Absolutely.
The transcript throws us right into that universal feeling. And what's really interesting is how Anna reacts.
Right. She's really understanding.
Very. She immediately says something like, oh, don't worry about it. It happens to me all the time. And then she adds, I'm terrible with names too.
Which is just, it's a really nice, forgiving response. Kind of sets a comfortable tone right away.
Exactly. It diffuses the awkwardness.
And it's just before this memory blank happens that Nick uses our first key phrase, I'm in a bit of a hurry.
Right.
Now, that sounds simple enough, but what's really going on there, communication-wise?
Well, essentially, it's a signal, isn't it? That you don't have a lot of time, you need to move on, or, excuse yourself politely. The original episode gave a few examples, like, could you drive faster? I'm in a bit of a hurry. Or, I can't talk right now, I'm in a bit of a hurry. So it's often a kind of polite, maybe slightly indirect way in English to signal you need to end the conversation or interaction.
Instead of just saying, gotta go.
Exactly. A more abrupt way might feel a bit rude in, many situations.
So it's a useful tool, a polite way to manage an exit. Good one to have.
Definitely.
Then Nick, trying to smooth things over after the name thing seems imminent, offers Anna his card, and he asks if she still has his contact details.
Contact details.
What should we take that to mean exactly in this context?
Well, contact details is pretty fundamental, right? For networking, professional stuff, even social things sometimes.
Yeah.
It just means all the info you need to get in touch. Name, phone number, email, maybe a website, whatever's on that business card, usually.
Okay.
So when they exchange cards, it's like the understanding is, okay, now we can follow up if we need to.
Got it. The practical side of staying connected.
Yeah.
And then comes the actual moment, the forgotten name. Nick admits it. He says, you know what, this is really embarrassing, but your name has just slipped my mind. Can you remind me?
Ah, the key phrase, slipped my mind.
Yes, that tells us more than just, I forgot, doesn't it?
It really does. Slipped my mind implies it was accidental, unintentional. You didn't mean to forget.
Right.
The examples they gave were things like, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to respond to your email. It just slipped my mind. Or, oh, no, it's your birthday. It completely slipped my mind.
Okay, so it has that apologetic feel built in.
Exactly. And it connects to that idea of saving face in social situations. It's a way to acknowledge the mistake, the memory lapse, but softly.
Yeah, minimizes the awkwardness for everyone.
Right. It keeps the interaction flowing more smoothly. A linguistic cushion, like you said earlier.
Nicely put. Now, the original podcast hosts, they then look at how certain words work together, starting with around here. Seems simple, but what are the nuances?
Well, around here basically just means close by, nearby.
Okay.
The example was, is there a bank around here? Just asking generally about the local area.
It makes sense.
But they also point out how just adding one little word can change the meaning quite a bit.
Like adding right around the corner.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right around the corner suddenly makes it sound much closer, very near. Maybe just, on the next street or something. It's more specific.
Okay, much clearer location.
And then there's around there.
Which feels more general again, right? Not necessarily right here.
Precisely. The example was about Los Angeles. I used to live around there. It means in that general area, that region, but not a specific spot right next to you.
So subtle differences, but really useful for talking about location.
Incredibly useful, yeah. Then another phrase they highlight is terrible with. This is such a common way to admit you're not good at something.
I think a lot of us can relate to this one. What does it really signal when someone says they're terrible with something?
It just means you're really bad at it.
Right.
Like you consistently have difficulty with it.
Okay.
The transcript gave examples like, you're terrible with numbers. You can't even remember your own telephone number.
Ouch.
Yeah. And relevant to Nick and Anna, I'm terrible with faces. I can never remember what people look like. Yeah. Or I'm terrible with directions.
Right. Getting lost all the time. It's interesting that the hosts of that podcast actually shared their own things they're terrible with. One said numbers, the other said faces.
Yeah, I noticed that too. It really normalizes it, doesn't it?
It does.
It shows that, even people who are fluent speakers or creating language content have things they struggle with. It's just human.
Makes it feel okay to admit you're not perfect at everything.
Exactly. Then, switching gears a little, they bring up a fluency builder, the phrase, how's it going?
Yes, we hear that constantly. Why is it a key for fluency, though? Isn't it just like, how are you?
Well, yes and no. It serves a similar function as a greeting, definitely. But how's it going often feels a bit more casual, more natural in informal chats.
Right.
Especially if you already know the person, even just a little bit. And the expected answer is often really brief, Good, fine, not bad.
So it's less of a real question sometimes.
Often, yeah. It can function more like a social acknowledgement, like saying hi, but a bit warmer. Not always expecting a detailed report on someone's life.
That's a really good point. It's about the connection, not necessarily the information.
Precisely.
Now, the transcript also had some personal stories, which I always find helpful. They make the language points feel more real. Marco's story about forgetting a relative's name.
Yeah. Yeah, at a family reunion.
Yeah.
That's peak awkwardness, isn't it?
Totally.
Forgetting someone you're actually related to. It just shows how memory can fail us, even with people we know well. And he had to, discreetly ask a cousin for the name.
Been there, maybe not at a family reunion, but that feeling. And Erica, she offers some really practical tips for when this happens, especially in business settings.
Yeah, those were very clever.
What were her strategies again?
She suggested two things. One, ask for their business card, because, the name is usually right there.
Sneaky. I like it.
Right. Or, alternatively, ask them to write down their email address for you. Again, the full name is often in the email address or the signature.
Both really subtle ways to get the name without having to say, sorry, what was your name again? For the second time?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Very smooth ways to handle a common social stumble, as you put it.
Really useful tactics. Okay, so maybe let's do a quick recap then. The key things I pulled out from this deep dive into the English podcast zone material.
Sure. So we looked at politely needing to leave in a bit of a hurry.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about contact details and connecting with people. Then the big one, admitting you forgot with slipped my mind.
Right, the apologetic phrase.
Yeah. And the location phrases. Around here,
yeah.
Right around the corner, around there, those nuances.
And expressing difficulty with terrible with something.
Yep. Plus the casual greeting, how's it going? As a fluency builder. And finally, those practical strategies for when you do forget a name.
Great summary.
Yeah.
So maybe a final thought for you, the listener. Think about your own experiences. Have you been in Nick's shoes? Or Anna's, needing to make a quick exit politely, or, that moment your mind goes blank on a name? How could these phrases we talked about actually help you?
And maybe also consider how your own cultural background might influence these kinds of interactions, how these phrases land, how direct or indirect people tend to be.
Definitely. It's a really interesting mix of language, culture, and just, being human, isn't it?